Aaron Glenn, this Detroit Lions defense, the level of physicality, the level of next man up. Like, I've never seen it like this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ever. This is crazy.
When they birthed the term, this is literally what they meant. Like, it doesn't matter who the hell they got in the game. They're going to get it done, man. And for this defense to look like they've looked like, to Flandel's point, without Hutch, I can't speak on it enough. Like, I can't believe, like, the way this defense has played so far. Yesterday, they literally won you the game. Make no mistake. I know the offense went out there and had a decent outing, but the defense is the reason you won this game. And we're finding ourselves more so in a pattern where your defense can win a game for you, so your offense doesn't necessarily have to go out there and be the best show on turf. We've seen the Lions win these type of games, man. So for the defense to be doing this, you got to give a lot of credit to Aaron Glenn, don't get me wrong, but you got to give credit to the players as well. A lot of them are stepping up, man. I mean, Rodrigo at linebacker stepping up. Jack Campbell at linebacker stepping up in that game, man. Zadarius Smith, he's providing so much pressure, man. And I know he hasn't really gotten home yet, but the fact that he is putting these quarterbacks under duress, Aleem McNeil, he wreaked havoc on Quentin Nelson yesterday. Like, he literally made Quentin Nelson his bitch yesterday. It was crazy. Like, the way this defense is played, I can't speak to it enough, man. It's been great.
Do you know who led the team in QB hits? DJ Reader and Zadarius Smith. You know who's second? Aleem McNeil. So what you're saying is, like, my own eye test, the stats are also lining up with that narrative as well, which shows that these guys are making an impact. The first two names that you mentioned, just before the next two names after them, it's so cool how this lines up, because we talked about who's going to make the impacts for this defense. And we knew that the defensive line was going to have to be more than serviceable. But when you look at the fact that your pick in those linebackers, my first love, Jack Campbell, my godson, at the top of this thing, man, 9 total tackles, 5 solo, 2 passes deflected, 2. Right after him, Malcolm Rodriguez, 8 tackles, 7 solo. Right after that, what's the next 2 names? Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. The guys that we said, you know what, we want to see these guys as the leaders of this team step up on this defense, because they've been the ones without Hutch and now without Anzalone to continue to do so. See those guys' names with the stats behind them. It just shows they're picking the right guys, not just the right type of leaders, but the guys that can do it on the field as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it. Aleem McNeil, that interior of the defensive line blew that game up in so many ways.
Havoc yesterday.
Wreaked absolute havoc. And that was against a interior of the Colts offensive line that, I mean, Quentin Nelson's really good. Aleem McNeil
he didn't look like it yesterday.
He didn't look like it yesterday, but Aleem McNeil is just becoming another one of those elite defensive tackles. And I want to get out in front of this too before we move on to other topics. There's a little bit less optimism in the chat than on previous weeks, and a lot of that has to do with one Mr. Kendall Vildor. And even Charles McClain is saying, oh, Sam thinks that Kendall Vildor was the MVP of the game. Here's the reality of the situation. Kendall Vildor was not good. We all know it. We all saw it. We all know that he probably should have been burned for at least a touchdown. He was burned by Alec Pierce.
He was playing back and still got burned.
Yeah, no. He was not good.
Back in coverage and still get burned.
He was not good. And at this point, put Khalil Dorsey out there instead of him. Emmanuel Mosley should be coming back. Hopefully Terrion Arnold is healthy. Hopefully Carlton Davis is healthy. That's another story for probably Wednesday. But
he did his job.
I get it. He was not good. He wasn't. I'm never going to run from it. I don't know why I'd have to run from it, because I was never in the Kendall Vildor fan club. It's just he was not good. All that being said, everything put up into one nice little bow is that the Lions gave up 6 points. They gave up 0 touchdowns. Yep. Yeah, the Colts shot themselves in the foot a lot. Yeah, there were some opportunities that they missed. But there were also some plays that were being made by this Lions defense as well. So you have to give them credit.
You know what it is? It's the same fans that were trying to blame Terrion Arnold and zero in on what he's doing or not doing. What I can tell you is this. If this was the Vildor of last year, we understand how that game probably goes. That's the point. He was not the Vildor of last year. There were some plays. Listen, last year we saw this man down the stretch. Giving up touchdowns. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Vildor went out there and played a good game. But if there's any marginal progress and the team is giving up 6 points rather than catching an L, I'm going to take that progress. They're playing down how many starters now? So now they're back into their 3rd and their 4th string cornerbacks. So that's what I'm saying. If people are going to, in a 24-6 win, act as if Kendall Vildor, like, you know what, let's just make sure that we have something to complain about. It's like, no, he did his job.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do.
That's what he's supposed to do. It might not look the way we wanted to, and you know why? Because it wasn't Terrion Arnold. And when Terrion Arnold is in there, how much better does it look? But before you guys got a taste of the Kendall Vildor, what were you guys saying about Terrion Arnold? And that's the whole point of it. Like, I can't wait till TA's back.
Yeah,
I really can't wait.
It's not the same, though. let's be real about it. Yes. TA's bad plays are not Kendall Vildor's bad plays. No. But to your point, Kendall Vildor, he did his job, and they trusted him enough to be out there. Trust me, if it was that bad, they would have pulled him. So he did enough.
No,
how much credit are we giving him? I was like, I'm
very little.
I hope that. I really hope the fan base starts to respect Terrion Arnold more after watching that game. Yeah. And then on top of that, I think this really speaks to the schemes of Aaron Glenn and the way that he's able to run this bend don't break defense. That they gave Anthony Richardson a few wide open throws, picking on Kendall Vildor, but once they got into the red zone, they were able to scheme up pressures and scheme up different coverages to hide Kendall Vildor and force those field goals. It really just speaks to how amazing Aaron Glenn is as a defensive coordinator.
Just Fan is mad at me. He said, Kool-Aid, you're nuts. What game did you watch? Vildor sucked. Indy's offense screwed up more than our defense stopped them.
Y'all chill on him.
Whoa. Hold on.
Go
begin the statement as Kool-Aid, you're nuts. And then you end it with Indy's offense screwed up more than our defense stopped them. While we got Aaron Glenn on the back wall, who's been pressure cooking every single team that they have faced. And I heard you fans say the same stuff. I'm not talking about, I didn't say he played good. Not at all. But how do you start off a comment with nuts like that someone else is nuts, and then you end it like that? You end it like that. This team has been exactly what we saw them be. They make other teams look this way. They force other teams into making mistakes. They force other teams into their will. That's why the Colts looked like that. Before it, I heard you guys, and we have some of the receipts. I got the receipts of people stating, hey, no, but Anthony Richardson can do. No, but Jonathan Taylor could. No, it's about what Aaron Glenn is going to do every single time. Yeah. It is not about what the Colts did or didn't do. It's about what the Lions did. And guess what? Whether you all like it or not, Kendall Vildor was a part of it.
Exactly. He's a Lion, man. You got to just call it what it is.
You know what? They gave up 6 points. Kendall Vildor was out there. He did not allow a touchdown, although that one to Alec Pierce probably should have been an 88-yard touchdown. But DJ Reader blew up the play and hit Anthony Richardson. But that's okay, because you know what that shows up in the stat as an incompletion allowed on Kendall Vildor, just like the Ogletree drop, which we're going to talk about.
Man, one more, man. Now Chuck Brewer's going, man. Kool-Aid, our defense is terrible. 12 points in the last 10 quarters. That's over a point a quarter. I love Chuck.
Sarcasm. No. Chuck Brewer, I think, has had probably the most levity on all of this. And trust me, I'm not one to just blow the Lions no matter what they do. But 6 points, you don't do that to an NFL team just because the other team screws up all the time. Did the Colts screw up a lot? Yes. But what happens when teams screw up against the Lions? The Lions take advantage. Teams pucker when they play the Lions at this point, just like they did when they played the Patriots, just like they do when they play the Kansas City Chiefs. Teams pucker, and that has something to do with that as well. Pucker.
This team does to just discombobulate squads from what their norm is. It's like they're the kryptonite to every single team. So any narrative before, any narrative after, it does not apply to the Detroit Lions. When you're looking at Anthony Richardson, I know that shout out Terry Foster on the Woodward and Main show before the game, the first show that kicked off our Lions coverage on Sunday, stated he believed that Anthony Richardson would get 60 yards, but that it really wouldn't amount to anything. It would just be their designed, schemed stuff. And that's it. And he got, wouldn't you know it, 10 carries, 61 yards. And Jonathan Taylor, 11 carries, 35 yards. He didn't do anything. And you know what? He said that too. He said he gonna get like 30, 40 yards he mentioned he thought 50 yards on 20-something carries, 2 yards a carry. He got 3 yards a carry on 11 carries. So passing for Anthony Richardson, 11 of 28, 172 yards, 6.1 average. QBR 48.3, his rating 60.4. I know that they didn't sack him, but the QB hits were up 6-7. And that's something that I look, any mobile quarterback, get the QB hits, not just the pressures. Obviously, you want the sacks. But if you can beat them down the entire game, it starts to mess with that accuracy. It starts to have them hearing those footsteps from the defense. And we already understand how the level of physicality that our defense is bringing. When you know they've gotten back here and they've tagged me, for a lack of a better phrase, 6 or 7 times, then the next time you see Brian Branch lined up like, yep, I'm getting into the backfield. Are you playing games? No, I'm trying to just get the ball out as quickly as I can. And you look at his numbers when he was pressured. He was abysmal.
Yeah, and you can't mess with something that you don't have. I'm talking about Anthony Richardson's accuracy. He doesn't have the accuracy, but no.
You called it, too.
It's no secret that I'm not a fan of him as a quarterback. I never was at Florida. The fact that he was a top 5 pick, to me, is absolute lunacy. And I'll give Anthony Richardson this. There were a couple of times where he was let down by his teammates, where he was let down by teammates committing penalties, where he was let down by Ogletree with a really, really bad drop on a for sure touchdown. I'll get that out of the way. Anthony Richardson actually didn't play quite as bad as his numbers look. And on the ground, as you said, about 61 yards. He was effective, particularly on that first field goal drive, and then he actually ran over Brian Branch, which is incredible. Anthony Richardson, say what you want about him, he is an absolute physical specimen, one of the greatest athletes in the NFL, probably one of the best athletes walking earth right now. I just don't think he can play quarterback that well. He had those runs. He had a couple of really nice throws. That deep ball to Alec Pierce, shout out me for calling that. That was nice. He dropped that into a bucket. He also had a rollout throw to, I believe it was Pittman on a 1st and 20, in which he fitted in a tight window right before it looked like Brian Branch could either bat it down or dislodge the ball. That was a nice throw. And you're going to get that from AR a couple of times a game because he does have a great arm. He can throw the deep ball, and he can fit it into a tight window. However, all things considered, this wasn't all his fault. Anthony Richardson finished the game with a 39% completion percentage. And for all of because I saw a lot of Anthony Richardson truthers on X who are trying to say, oh, he's not that bad. Oh, he didn't play that bad. And I already mentioned that. There were some things that were out of his control, and I will give you that. Then why the hell is his completion percentage 47% on the season? Anthony Richardson sucks. He's awful. He's awful.
Get your shit off.
A 47% completion percentage is horrific. This would have been horrific in 1960. It's horrific. He's unplayable. And I get it. When you watch him, he does some spectacular things. A 47% completion percentage is horrific. He deserved to be benched for Joe Flacco. They need to give him a chance to see what they have. But you know what they have? Nothing.
There's something about Joe Flacco that I just love, man. There's something about Joe Flacco. I just can't put a finger on it. There's something about Flacco, man.
You know
something
what it is?
Flacco.
Watching your young quarterback not even have a 50% completion percentage.
Yeah, it's tough.
He sucks. He sucks. He can't play.
I just let you cook, man, because you are cooking. It's like, okay. Look, sometimes on the grill, you just sitting there like, you know what? Nope, you're not done enough. Go right back on there. But it's already crispy. It's not crisp enough yet. Just making sure that you roasted it, because I saw some of those receipts too. I saw the people talking about, Flannel, I can't wait till Monday and I get to come on your show and tell you this or that. I bet you they're not here right now. Yeah. All these people who talked about, you're just going to dismiss them. We already know how the Lions do it with mobile quarterbacks. Right. Y'all said this before Kyler Murray too. That's what people told me. People told me Geno Smith can get loose a little bit. That's what I was told. The Detroit Lions continue to take narrative after narrative after narrative and bust it. That's what makes this so impressive, is that they're now impressing even the most ardent of Detroit Lions Kool-Aid drinkers out there. Like, even them are saying, whoa, slow down. I didn't even drink that much Kool-Aid yet. Y'all are doing what now? Mm-hmm. Like, wait. Kirby Joseph is doing what now? You held another team under 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I want to give Anthony Richardson a slight little compliment after tearing him down pretty hard, he didn't throw a pick. That one to Carlton Davis probably should have been, but you know what? It doesn't count in the stat sheet, so I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that Anthony Richardson basically threw an interception that didn't. He didn't throw a pick. I expected him to maybe get 2. He didn't. That's all well and good. And like I said, my point is that Anthony Richardson yesterday was not as bad as the numbers indicate. but there were also some throws that he made that were not good, and his 39% completion percentage on the game lowered his season completion percentage to 47%. You can't have that. It's so... How bad you think that is, it's worse. If you can't complete 60% in the NFL, you should be on the bench.
However bad you think it is worse. That's hilarious.
The way that he plays, though, if you complete 55% of your passes, even 50% of your passes, I mean, that's good enough to honestly keep him in the NFL. How athletically gifted he is, how the way that he can be a scheme threat, the way that he can run the ball. I mean, also a lot of those throws, he had pressure in his face. Zadarius Smith caused a bad throw. Aleem McNeil caused a couple bad throws. I mean, if he had clean pockets, he probably completes that downfield ball to Alec Pierce and the one to Josh Downs. Like, the Lions had 15 pressures, and Anthony Richardson was 1 for 9 when he was pressured. He can't throw under pressure, and the Lions consistently had pressure on him all game, which caused him to have a bad game. Against a lesser opponent that's not a top 5 defense like the Lions, I could 100% see Anthony Richardson being an effective NFL quarterback.
I mean, he had a good game the week before against the Jets. Another thing, which is where KG can take his 80th victory lap and where I have to say why the Lions are awesome. If you told me before the season that the Lions would have a much better defense than the Jets, I would have said you're smoking crack. Mm-hmm. But it's true, and we're all better for it.
That Jets defense is also designed to stop someone like Anthony Richardson because they're built to beating Josh Allen.
What does anyone have his stats from last week's game?
Does
anyone know?
He was good. I'll just say
3 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Oh man,
250 yards, I believe, passing.
Amazing against a pretty good defense, huh? Okay.
But I was told the Lions' defense isn't that good. Well, and Aaron Glenn should be fired.
That they can't.
Okay, that was a while ago.
I mean, I was still told.
That's fair. Yeah, we were all.
My man Justin making up for lost time. He's like, look, bro, I've been in Western Michigan, all right? I'm on the show today. I got receipts. And this is a day of receipts because it is Victory Monday. That's exactly what it is, man. When I look at this back wall, it was multiple times where this was what he was dealing with, man. And it's cool to know that I feel like in the past, these types of running quarterbacks absolutely would have made the difference between winning and losing. How crazy in the past we knew that the narrative was if we play a mobile quarterback, it will be a long day for the Detroit Lions defense. How many times did we know with the previous narratives that if they're playing outdoors, that it's going to be a long day for the Detroit Lions? How many times was the narrative if they play in Jerry's World, if they play the Cowboys anywhere, if they go to get a New Holland space machine on the freaking moon, it didn't matter, they were going to lose. But now all of a sudden it doesn't matter. If you play in the black jerseys, you can't win. It doesn't matter. It's almost as if Dan Campbell's his journey is to just almost just blow a kiss in the face of everything that people said can't happen. And he's going out there and he's doing it with some coordinators, in my opinion, who are absolutely the best in the NFL, but they got some flaws, and the other teams, you don't want to hire these guys. I'm telling you,
absolutely.
They're just normal old Detroiters now.
There's normal old Detroiters. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because we want them to stay, and if I said what I was going to say, it would make them even too valuable. But the reality is, too, and we're talking about narratives, the fact that they can't. Hey, Dan Campbell. You Lions cannot win on Thanksgiving. It can never happen. Will never happen.
I
Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said and use that as motivation. But to be real, that's just another thing that'll keep them from getting complacent. I want us to all have happy Thanksgivings, and we're going to have it regardless because the Lions are still going to win the division and get the 1 seed. But it would be nice to see them get a win on Thanksgiving. But do you know what makes us all happy all of the time? And it made me happy before the show today. After that interception happened, maybe I don't have this 100% right, but I don't recall him even throwing an incomplete pass the rest of the game.
He was perfect in the fourth quarter.
He was perfect in the fourth quarter. So for all intents and purposes, he didn't throw an incomplete pass for the rest of the game, and I don't even know if he in reality did, just literally. But yeah, Jared Goff, after that interception, you could tell that he was upset at himself. You could tell that it bothered him. But what he did to respond to that is he made it up to his team. He led a touchdown drive that was culminated in a clutch 4th down pass to Tim Patrick, and then then once the Packers retook the lead, he went and led another touchdown drive. So Jared Goff certainly did his job. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, another game in which he had a passer rating over 100. Despite the bad interception, I still think that this was an MVP statement game for Jared Goff.
I definitely do. Like you said, there are going to be things that happen. And even on that pass, as he was making it, to me, it looked like mid-throw, he looked like he wished he could take that back. Because it was just a bad interception. And after that, he was perfect in the fourth quarter of that game. And to me, that is what's telling about who Jared Goff is. Even when you look back at the Texans game, where he had some really bad interceptions. 2 of them, 2 to 3 of them I could put definitely on him. Another couple of them were just bad luck plays. But when it was winning time, it was on Jared Goff's shoulders. And those are the things. Obviously, Jake Bates' leg as well. But Jared Goff, to put them in position as the quarterback. That's what I've come to expect out of Jared Goff. I don't it's no longer faith. I expect it. I know that we used to talk a lot about Matthew Stafford and those fourth quarter comebacks and whatnot. You think about who Jared Goff has been over the last 2.5 seasons of winning football and being a prime reason. Think about how many games we remember where it's been the Detroit Lions either icing the in victory formation because they got a big first down, or they're kicking the field goal, or they got a big touchdown just before kicking it off to the other team for a few seconds to run off. So it's just like Jared Goff is a common denominator with all of these close victories. Sometimes Jake Bates might be the guy that gets the walk-off, but it's always Jared Goff who has to dial up the drive to get them down the field as the leader of this team's offense. And to me, when you continue to do that over and over and over and over and over again, that's elite and special. Our best quarterbacks in the league, only some of those guys do that. Think about that. Only some of those guys do that. A lot of the guys in the league that they want to try and elevate or that they view above Jared Goff, they don't do that. But Jared Goff continues to be one of the main difference makers in the fourth quarters for the Detroit Lions, game after game. That's clutch, and to me, that is part of the definition of being an MVP.
Well, of course, that's the icing on the cake to his MVP case. The fact that when the Lions needed just a field goal drive and to take all the time off the clock, I think all of us felt very confident that Jared Goff was going to get the job done. In my humble opinion, I was just, at that point, I was at Hayes, but I wasn't on. It was Neil and KG. When the Lions were able to hold the Packers to a field goal to where the Packers tied the score with a little less than 5 minutes left, I'm like, Lions are going to go drive down the field and take all the time off the clock. And that's something that just, as a Lions fan my whole life, it's amazing the confidence that I have in this team now versus the lack thereof in previous years. And we certainly don't need to bring that up. It's more to highlight how far they've come. And another thing that I want to highlight as well is that Jared Goff did a phenomenal job of spreading the ball around. Everybody ate last night, even if a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't put the numbers up that we're accustomed to.
Break a record? I believe they said it was historic last night. I think with at least five or six receivers with at least 5 receptions or more in the game.
6 receivers with at least 5 receptions.
That's
You had Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Tim Patrick, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and shout out to Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs, putting their mark on the game when they didn't even have their best days on the ground.
That's insane to me because you know what? We talked about this. We talked about this yesterday. We kept hearing the same thing. Man, that play action of Detroit, they play actioned the Green Bay Packers to death. And they just couldn't keep up with it. And you know what I noticed as well? And I forgot who said it. I think it might have been Sherman. He was like, they didn't really expose too much because what if these teams meet up again? And Carlton Davis, I loved what he said. We'll meet them next year. Now, hopefully this year. They're not scared. And when you look at that offense, you look at how they spreaded the ball a while. You look at the fact that I didn't see really too many trick plays. I didn't see them really put anything out there. The offense was literally, hey, play action, and running back out the backfield. Play action, Tim Patrick across the middle. Play action, J-Mo across the middle. Play action, Amon-Ra across the middle. And it was like, just hey, this is what we do. Copy, paste, repeat, copy, paste, repeat. And to me, I believe that if they meet up with the Packers again in the playoffs, they kept things as vanilla as they could. And they still went out there and put up 34 points on offense.
Still put up 34 points, which is actually above their season average. So you got to give shout out to them. And, man, Neil Rule can just never let anything go, can he?
Oh, boy.
I didn't mean to say that Jared Goff, that was what, if I said it was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen, that's not what I meant. It's one of the worst interceptions that he's thrown this year. That's to clarify. But Neil, I think you're excusing the particular play a little bit too much, but shout out to Jared Goff. He made that one bad play and then came back and did nothing but great things the rest of the game. So we can kumbaya on that, but it certainly wasn't one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen in the NFL. And if I said that, my apologies.
It's incredible, man, to think about how many people are out in the Lions still are just going in and just body bagging teams, man. This is incredible right now. And like I said, that with Jared Goff, he's been one of those guys that epitomizes as well, cleaning up on the mistakes and trying not to have the back-to-back ones. That's what makes the Houston Texans game so uncharacteristic when you see him, but he was still able to go and clean it up. Like, we've seen this team be able to be so resilient in a plethora of ways. Going back to the Bears game, where Jared Goff did not have, last year, where Jared Goff did not have one of his best days, and he was still able to go in the fourth quarter and put up a couple touchdowns to pull that victory out. And to see them be able to have those types of drives, to see them go and do something that I don't normally see them do, man, they passed it against the LA Rams in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford, all the narratives in Ford Field, they passed it for a first down to salt the game away. We have not seen that. As simple as that sounds, we haven't seen this. When our teams needed to be able to get that extra yard, to have an opportunity to have a Jake Bates be in position, a lot of times we didn't get that. A lot of times when we needed to be able to go and just get that one extra first down, sometimes we didn't get that, and all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball or Brett Favre is getting the ball, depending on how many different eras of football you've seen, and then they're throwing some stupid Hail Mary and they're completing it, and we're walking away like, man, and there were so many seasons, I counted it before, where it was like these types of plays cost us playoff spots, but not anymore, because we have a leader in Jared Goff who, I don't care what it looks like, these other teams in the division, I'm sorry, if you're not saying what I used to say about Aaron Rodgers, about Brett Favre, about some of these other quarterbacks, even Kirk Cousins to a degree, Jared Goff is that guy right now who's at the top of this division as a quarterback, and he is beating everybody's favorite quarterback right now.
Top of the division, top of the NFC, quite frankly, when it comes to quarterbacks. That is for damn sure.
Oh, my gosh, man, does it feel so good. This Victory Friday show, Detroit Lions 34-31 victory over the rival Green Bay Packers at Ford Field. We sweep them for the series. We clinch a playoff spot. We move to 12-1. We take another step towards clinching the NFC North and towards clinching the NFC's number one seed, which I do believe for this squad is going to be very, very, very vital for them to get that first week bye in the playoffs. And you know what, Flannel?
Yes.
I believe that if you would ask a lot of people, is it a safe bet that the Detroit Lions would give up 100 yards rushing for the game? I'm not even saying 100-yard rushing running back, because I heard that Jacobs was going to get there. He didn't. He got to 66 yards. Mm-hmm. And he got 3 touchdowns. So we're not going to sneeze at that. But the Green Bay Packers ended the game with 99 yards total, whereas the Detroit Lions ended the game with 111 yards on the ground.
Oh, my
Jahmyr
goodness.
Gibbs, somebody who we thought was going to be able to have a field day, he didn't necessarily have the field day we thought he would on the ground. But each and every run, you can tell this guy is a tough tackle every single time, man. He did put up in this game a total from scrimmage, 43 yards rushing, and the receiving yards another 30, 73 yards. So they get that 70 yards from scrimmage again. And he does catch a touchdown, and then he goes over 1,000 rushing yards for the season. Pushes his total yards, again, further above 1,000 yards. We got to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
We have to.
His total yards, I'm doing quick math, 1,328, and he eclipsed the 1,000.
13 games.
Yes. Yeah, that's over 100 per game. And he eclipsed the 1,000-yard rushing mark, which is really the ultimate benchmark as an NFL running back. You love to see it. And for the second consecutive year, he didn't get one on the ground last night, but he has 10 rushing touchdowns for the second consecutive year, which is another one of those benchmarks that you like to see him get as a starting running back. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, he didn't have the game that we're accustomed to. He didn't have 6-7 yards per carry in this particular game, but he ran hard. He still had some big runs. He had that touchdown catch. And I think every single running back, no matter who you are, no matter if you're Barry Sanders or Walter Payton or the like, you're going to have games where just sometimes the holes aren't there. Sometimes you just got to get the tough 2, 3, or 4 yards when you have to, and sometimes you have to contribute in other ways. I wanted to highlight him, not because he was not because it was his standout game or anything, but because 1,000 yards?
Yeah.
1,000 yards in 13 games. I didn't even foresee this, and I thought that Jahmyr Gibbs was trending towards maybe being the best running back in the NFL, but this man might end up with 1,400 before the year's end, and he might end up with the third or fourth most in the NFL when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and that's where it's awesome to see Jahmyr Gibbs having this type of success. Because it's exactly as Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes described. It's just another example of them calling their shot and knocking it out the park. And where I really liked him in the development of his game is not just knowing that he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but it's the precision and the cleanness to his route running. That touchdown catch was crisp. The way he leaped out the backfield, the way he read where the linebacker was going to be, and just to be on point timing-wise. Because Jared Goff had to fit that ball in there between the defender that was spying on Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield, as well as the safety help that was coming from the broader part of the end zone. And it was just perfect. It looks easy, but we've seen previous Lions teams where if these things are not on point, I'm sorry, you're getting blown up at the red zone. I don't have too many fears and worries about the Lions when they do get into the red zone. I honestly think that they're going to score every single time that they're in the red zone. And when they don't, I feel like it's a disappointment. In large part, it's because you have guys like a David Montgomery and now a Jahmyr Gibbs who's proving he can run between the tackles. Another thing that I liked about him as well is this. The Green Bay Packers were selling out to stop the run. They came in here saying, we know what your strength is. We know what your strength is. And I believe that they dared Jared Goff to beat them with the throw over the middle. And I believe that they basically say, we're not going to give you the run. That has to be called out. Their defense was getting into that backfield sometimes faster than it felt like the ball was getting into the hands of Goff at the snap. And to know that those running backs, we talk about, 2-3 yards a carry. I believe if those were any lesser running backs, we're talking about some of those being like 2 and 3 yard losses. Yeah. Where instead we saw them fight to get back to the line of scrimmage. Those don't necessarily go on the stat sheet the way we would think. It does show up because we don't see the negative yardage taken away, but them fighting just to get back to the line of scrimmage. And think about how important that is, because how many fourth downs in shorts did they find themselves in? So that's why I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to shout them out in the things that are grand, the 1,000 yards on the season, pushing your total yards up to 1,300, almost 1,400 yards, catching that touchdown. And whoever knows, bro, that linebacker's jockstrap is still up in the rafters. But you go out there, you're fighting every single play. It's like, I just want to be able to make sure that is called out, because I didn't think, honestly, that Jahmyr Gibbs had that type of dog in him. I thought he was going to be a weapon, but he's going out there and he's doing the stuff that they can say, well, usually these are David Montgomery type runs. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs is here.
Yeah.
He's a rock.
Yeah, and I know that I've said it before. I've said it a million times. You guys are probably tired of me here saying it, but I'll say it again. Jahmyr Gibbs has proven to me, and I saw it firsthand for really the first time in that Raiders game last year, that he's not a weapon. He's not somebody who's going to get, 700 to 800 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards. He is a great running back. And that's what he's continued to show. That's what he showed throughout the season, even last night. I mean, hey, he's a running back catching the ball out of the backfield. He could have dropped it on fourth down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even making a catch where you're wide open on fourth down, that's a lot of pressure. And you mentioned something that I wanted to highlight as well. There were a couple of times you mentioned the Packers selling out for the run. You mentioned the Packers doing, for the most part, a really good job, getting a lot of penetration into the backfield. Frank Ragnow didn't have his best day, but that's all well and good. You're still Frank Ragnow. But there were moments where it almost looked like the Packers nose tackle or the Packers defensive tackle would almost get Jared Goff down before he could hand it off.
Yeah. Several times. And that's what I'm saying. Like, their game plan, it worked to perfection. And I believe, I talked about this before on our show yesterday. Sometimes I want to see the Lions just go out there and just do their game plan. And I believe that the friction that we saw was them trying to do that. There were plays where I was like, man, I hope they're passing on us down. I hope it's a quick pass. I hope it's what we just saw work a couple of other times, but they still went to the run. Sometimes right into the face of the defense for just a 1 yard gain. And sometimes I wonder, like, okay, why are they doing this? You gotta stick to your identity. You don't know necessarily what's going to spring. When you start to cower and you start to kind of crater to what the other team wants you to, That's different than saying we take what the defense gives us. You game plan for if the defense is going to sell out to stop the run or to stop the pass. And when they had to rely on, okay, then, all right, we're going to dial up the passes because that's what the situation, that's what we always hear them. The situation, that's what the numbers say, that's what the board says, that's what the advanced metrics say. Jared Goff across the middle of the field. Bing, 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 bing. You got players like Byron from the Vikings talking this nonsense like, well, everyone talk about the Lions used to talk about us.
You got the quote, JB?
Oh,
yeah.
Y'all need to talk about us. We tired of the Detroit talk. And this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time. He had some comments to say last week, so this was him just doubling down on this. And I don't even understand why. I get it. Put on for you. Talk about you. But I don't understand this notion of continuing to poke the lion. Yeah. I just don't get it. It has not fared well for anybody. For anybody. When we talk about the fact that they haven't lost back-to-back games, and even if there's a time that they do, scorched earth for all the teams after that. Because this team has proven to be for real on a level of aggression and physicality that all of the NFC North teams have cried about, including the Vikings. So to continue to do this, I don't know if it's just something where, again, these other teams in the division need that little blue pill. Because when the Packers were talking, their record looked prettier. Just like the Vikings record looks prettier. But how does it look when you get swept by the Lions? It looks a little less prettier. So everybody got to pump themselves up because it's artificial. We got one team over here and symbolize, we'll have Dan Campbell symbolize it, walking around with the big stick. Nothing artificial here. The Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid, it just flows freely over here, bro. But when you're talking about these other squads, it seems like they're really taking this whole black and blue division. Hey, you know what? The blue part of it is like, hey, this is our appeal to make sure that we're jacked up to play against this Lions team who's going to come in here anyway and pummel us. It's like, stop crying and just prove it on the field already. That's where I'm at with this.
Are the Lions as an organization or certain players or whoever's involved with them just psychological demons or something?
That's what it seemed like. We and everybody hit.
I'm dead serious about that because you saw it with the Packers. You saw guys like Tucker Kraft and Xavier McKinney poke the bear for no reason whatsoever, and you saw what happened on the field. And now we're seeing it
Kraft got punished.
He did. And now we're seeing it with the Minnesota Vikings because just even with this quote, you know, y'all need to talk about us. We're tired of hearing about Detroit. I would argue that the Vikings have been talked about in a way that is about right with how they've played this year. I mean, not from this station because a lot of people disrespect the Vikings, but we're a Detroit sports station. What do you expect? We're talking about the national media has been giving the Vikings a lot of praise, and they do deserve praise. They are an 11-2 team, and even Byron Murphy, on a personal note, has 6 interceptions, which is tied for second in the NFL. Good job. You got another one. The Vikings got yet another win. Seriously, I'm not going to congratulate them, but they're making it harder on the Lions than I think we anticipated that the Vikings would be. However, if you want to be talked about like a division leader, then go into Minnesota in week 5 or 6 or whatever it is and get the win. Because that was the first game.
When you were up 10-0.
Well, that's the thing. That was the first game that the Lions played without Aiden Hutchinson. Zadarius Smith wasn't there. I would say that as a team, you couldn't even really blame them if they were a little bit demoralized. So the Vikings, from their perspective, that's probably a bad loss for them. That's the loss that is literally the difference between them leading the division and being the 5 seed. So yeah, the Minnesota Vikings, I'm sure it's got to be frustrating being that they're in the NFC North, and if they were in the NFC West or the NFC South, they would be running away with the division, but it just is the way that it is. The Vikings are getting their praise, but the Lions deserve more and should get more, and if you want more than the Lions, win the division, which they won't, by the way.
Because it's interesting that when we win the division, then all of a sudden they want to talk about us actually hanging that banner too. It's just like all y'all are doing are talking right now. That's it. That's it. That's why I like the energy right now. It's just like, oh, another one of these? Wait, and then you double down. I was like, wait, where's, I don't even know, dude. And I was like, his name sounds familiar. And I had to go back and look, and it was like, oh, that's right. That was that guy in the locker room talking all of that. Man, y'all talking about the Lions too much. It's like y'all are crying for your attention.
Right.
I don't ever remember the Detroit Lions crying for the attention. I just remember them going out there and doing work, man, and punching teams in the nose and just going on to the next week and handling business. Like, that's what I remember when people early on were talking about this isn't going to work, and people were talking about fire Dan Campbell. He ain't the guy. Bro, they just continued the course. And as things started to rack up for them, game after game after game, especially after that second season, the second half of it, it was like, you know what? They're playing with some dogs. Go back and look at that roster, man. Mm-hmm. Go back and look at that roster. But you look at now, you're starting to put a little bit more talent on this thing to the point that they're able to sustain how many injuries? And you guys are really trying to poke this bear where they've proven that, no, we're not just treading water. We're still one of the best defenses in the NFL, even right now. This is what they want to. That's the line that they want to poke, KG.
Yeah, I mean, boy, if he don't get his Michael Jackson, they don't really care about us. Head ass out of here. Like, I'm tired of it, bro. Like, it's crazy when the Lions get good. How much people want to chirp up. Nobody was apologizing for us when we were the scum of the fucking earth. Where was y'all? Where was I? We could have easily been out here crying, man. Like. I'm sick of it. If you want to put it into the Lions narrative, come in the Ford Field or when we at your place, handle it. Like you have an opportunity twice a year to beat this team, and to this point, you have not done it. And don't get me wrong, Minnesota's having a great year, but historically, why people don't talk about the Minnesota Vikings is because why? They always effing flame out.
Hey.
Always. Name a time where they didn't flame out.
No, they always flame out. And if you want like a little history lesson on the Minnesota Vikings, you guys already know this because we're Lions fans. When it comes to regular season success, even when it comes to certain levels of the playoff success, they've had a lot of wins, a lot of really good seasons. But if you go back to the 70s when they went to 4 Super Bowls, they not only lost all Super Bowls, they got blown the F out in every single one of them. Mm-hmm. Every single year they decided to play their worst game of the season in the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you what, I've been more complimentary of the Vikings than most at this network because 11-2, you don't get that by accident, and they've got talent all across the board, and we know that. But they had an opportunity to take the division from the Lions. They had an opportunity in which the Lions were fresh off Aiden Hutchinson being out, and they didn't do it.
People were picking them.
And honestly, I don't even logically, I almost pick them until at the very end where I'm like Lions by 2. But at the time, you know, if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm feeling pretty good about that matchup. And now they're facing the prospect of getting swept by the Lions. I ultimately think that's what ends up happening.
Look, man, because when we talk about the dogs on that defensive line, especially, man, Zadarius Smith, Aleem McNeil, you know, I don't know what they're expecting. These guys eat. That's just what they do. And everybody who stepped up after them, they eat. Every week that Muhammad plays and he gets some snaps, I expect to see his name right in the mix. And what do we do every single time? They give him some minutes and he's right up there.
Yep.
We up here talking about O'Connor. Think about this. That's what I'm saying. Like, and if these guys think about like the guys like O'Connor and Muhammad who are not just playing just for a ring. They're playing to make sure the Lions can win. But these guys are trying to be noticed. These guys want their next contract. You're trying to poke those guys as well. Pause.
That's what doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like these guys are already rabid dogs. They're already like, yo, they let us off the leash. They were sitting back looking at James Houston get opportunities. Some of these guys weren't even here. Mm-hmm. Some of these people were sitting back waiting for an opportunity to prove. These are the guys you want to rile up. Like it don't make sense to me.
Well, that's why I said the Lions must be psychological masterminds or something that just get in people's head to the point where it breaks them. Because if you're the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm just speaking, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you've got a golden opportunity in front of you to keep winning, to put the pressure on the Lions, and maybe even steal the division out from under the Lions. I'm not saying they will. I'm talking about getting into the Vikings' heads. But why would you poke the bear? Why? If I'm Kevin O'Connell right now, I'm yanking Byron Murphy. Get away from the mic.
Get your mother.
Just like I was talking about with Matt LaFleur. If I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm like, Xavier McKinney, Tucker Kraft, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh my God.
The Lions feed off of that. More like I think uniquely, even opposed to other teams and players, they need to keep that chip on their shoulder.
Yes, they do feed off of it because I sent it to you. What did Penei Sewell say in his pregame speech? Nobody's putting their hands on us. Nobody. And who was that in direct reference to?
Tucker Kraft.
Yep. They got hyped up pregame to that dude's comments, bro. So it's like whatever people think, You got to reimagine and redefine what your thought football was. People say usually, no, just let that fall by the wayside. You don't got to worry about that. For whatever reason, this team has found a way to turn air into fuel. That's what they're doing. All of the hot air that these other teams are blowing, this team has found a way to say, oh, great. And then see Panay Sewell getting hyped up about it. To hear Carlton Davis and Kirby Joseph after the game talking about it. Yeah. To see all the little scrum and him like, what up, what up? And Tucker Kraft was looking like the boy holding the cup. You know what I mean? Well, like, not me today. Like, yeah. Then why were you talking beforehand? These guys are out here really, really playing real ball. What are y'all doing talking before the game? It's not cute. That's what I love about Brett Hunt. Like, this ain't no cute seasons here. And y'all are trying to play cute games. Shout out to Hoof Hearted. I love this one here, man. I do. He says, the Vikings are playing for clout. The Lions are playing for a ring. That's the difference.
Thank you.
And that just, it doesn't make sense because if you're the Vikings, you should see yourself as Super Bowl contenders, but there's obviously an insecurity about them. I mean, those quotes by Byron Murphy, that's about as insecure as you can get. I think the Vikings are getting plenty of love, as they should. They should get some, but they shouldn't get as much as the Lions because as great of a season as the Vikings have had, as much as you can say if they were in any other division, they'd be division leaders. We don't live off of ifs.
And it's
it just
funny,
is what it is.
because we're not thinking about y'all.
No, we're not.
We think about y'all on the week that we're supposed to play you. We're not thinking about y'all right now. When y'all don't play us until week 18 and you got the Lions on your brain. Like, this is why SOL is a thing of the past. Like, if y'all needed any more examples of why SOL is dead, it's this shit right here. We done had Matt LaFleur on the verge of crying. We got this guy chirping up. We got Tucker Kraft chirping up. Like, we got Rams fans chirping up. Like, come on. It's been countless fucking people. This Lion shit is real. It's a disease. Like, we come in here and we dominate, and now you feel away. Hey, you got a chance to handle your business week 18, bro.
Brian Ruth, greatest free in teams' heads.
Talk about it, JB.
We literally live rent free in teams' head. Never has this ever been possible that this could happen right now. And what I'm so impressed by this team and Dan Campbell is that there is no talking before the game. There is no talking during the week. There's shit talking afterwards, after we play you, because you know what? You just put that on tape. You just let America see that, you know what? We are the better team. So guess what? Now we're going to talk our shit.
You know what? Some of us might have, or at least I did underestimate it. I believed it, but I underestimated it. When all of the talk, all off season, was this team talking about Super Bowl, including out of Dan Campbell's own mouth, right after the game. We're going back. We're going to get there, right? Right, game one, week one prep, what did he say? F all that Super Bowl talk is week by week.
Yep.
Week by week. Week by week. Vikings ain't learned yet. People are talking weeks in advance. They all want a piece of the Lions, and they don't realize when it's that time, you don't got to go far. Like Dan Campbell said,
we right here.
On your front porch, bro. We ready.
You going to get to see us again?
Yeah, Brian Ruth, greatest quote ever. Come to Detroit and find out.
Great job. Great job. Here's what's crazy is at some point we're going to look back and say, man, we just got 13 wins, franchise record. Detroit Lions, never done this before in the history of this franchise. We're going to be able to look back and say that. But not yet. Not yet. Because you know what we got to do next week? We got to win, man. We got to win. But you know what we said? Play Detroit Lions football. We did that and get the W. You guys did that. And we may roll it all the way down the table just like this. You find a way to win the game. And we found a way to win the game. We lean on each other and we use all parts. All right? That's a good job, man. I got one game ball. I don't even know the stats. Critical. Great job, St. Brown. No, it's you. Here we go.
Let's keep going, man. Like you said, let's keep going. Love y'all.
Good. Man, everything we got goes into San Fran. Everything we got, man. Great win. Break it out.
Yeah, work it out, Waymo.
Hey, big win today. You know we gotta keep stepping, keep going forward, never backwards. Gang on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Waymo.
Hey, what up, though, people? It's Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for choosing to kick off the day with the Woo Crew, and I'm fired up, man. Swept another one. Oh, man, those crying bears, man. Get out of here. Get out of here. What a dub. We got a whole show to break it down. Flannel Sam, all right, bro? Hey, it's your boy, Brandon, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer, man. Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network. I love that, man. I like the flannel, too, going on here, man. The black and gray
yes.
tone.
Oh, yes. And maybe I should be like,
Put it on, bro.
My nice, my hoodie flannel that I got for Christmas. Shout out my sister Emily, by the way. I think this is a pretty solid look. It does look like me and Kool-Aid are about to go rob someone, but that's all well and good.
Let's get it.
That's all well and good. But, man, I'll tell you what. I know we're going to get into it more, but I told you on Friday that the Bears, given, how last Sunday was such a rough day, given the loss, given the injuries, was just what the doctor ordered because the Bears stink. They're now on a 9-game losing streak, and the Lions made sure that they continued to stink. I'll just say that.
I'm so glad you said that because that was one of the themes of our show on Friday was use this game as a springboard, especially the offense. The defense, get some cohesion, and for the offense, use it as a springboard to put your foot down in the first quarter and just go. The difference between what they did versus the Bills and what they did versus the Bears is they actually scored on those possessions, whether they were touchdowns or field goals, and we want more touchdowns than field goals. But against the Bills, they came up empty in the first quarter on those drives where at the very least, you'd have liked to see Jake Bates be able to have an opportunity.
Sure.
So it was awesome to see them just kind of get that lead, protect that lead, be able to really play the game at their own pace and at their own behest and keep people healthy.
Yes.
Goodness.
One of my favorite things that I've ever seen on a pregame show is when Sean Baligian, he said this on the pregame show, and I thought it was very appropriate. He said that he wanted the Lions to get off to a quick start. He said 14-0, but it ended up being 20-0, and just spend the rest of the game just going like this. I mean, everybody knew that if you got up big on the Bears that they would wilt to some degree. And don't get me wrong, they scored a couple of second quarter touchdowns. Caleb Williams made a lot of nice plays, but it was never close. It was never, the outcome was never in doubt. You just got to bury those guys that are on an 8-game, now 9-game losing streak right away, and they're going to have doubt. They're going to quit, and they're already thinking of the offseason, and the Lions were the beneficiary of that, and they furthered that quest to the Bears, really just praying for Cancun right now.
Goodness gracious, man. And you know what? It was awesome to just see the Lions going through all of the adversity. Hey, shout out Devin Adar, 51 Clothing. Through all of the adversity, and they just handled business. That's the way that I would have wanted to see them go on and just kind of take care of business if they were healthy. They went out there and they beat them by double digits, and it looked easy. And it looked like if they wanted to, they could have pressed the gas even more on the offensive side of the ball. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. I'm gonna read the super chat, and then I gotta go to our booth. I see KG over here with the crispy hat on, bro. And we gotta get the back walls up too. I got something special for the people.
I got you.
I'll tell you what, I'm on one right now, man. He says with the super chat, $4.99. Hey, Flannel Sam, you better have that J-Mo jersey in the cart already. Only 110 yards away from 1,000 yards receiving. Also, 4 away from 10 touchdowns.
Hey, we're definitely going to get into that. We got a whole segment dedicated to that man, Jamison Williams. But just remember, and I'm not rooting for this to happen, I promise. There have been several games this year where the Lions have won, but Jamison Williams, numbers-wise, has put up pedestrian numbers. So it could happen in these next 2 games. I would prefer that it didn't because, as Terry Foster said, I believe on Woodward and Maine and off camera before he left the building, shout out T-Foss, is that they should probably try a deep shot or 2 to Jamison Williams every game. And I hope that they hit him for a couple in these last 2, especially going up against those Vikings in Week 18. But that's another story for another day. I personally think if I were to make a prediction, I'll save that for the Jamison Williams segment.
Definitely, man. Definitely, because he's a weapon if he's catching the ball. And as we saw in some of those plays, brother, he's a weapon when he's not even catching the ball. It was epic, especially on that, the Sam Laporta play. But
that was a good one.
That was a great one. Great play design by Ben Johnson. We'll get more into it before we introduce the rest of the cast and the crew as well. Just really, really quickly, because this is somewhat relevant. NBA All-Star voting is going on right now. Make sure you guys are going on and voting in the guy, Cade Cunningham. All right, the Pistons
Point
all
guard,
season.
center.
Look, yeah, whatever you want to do at all positions, man. Whatever you want to do, make sure that you go and you vote this guy in. He's proven that he's worthy of it. Kevin Durant said that he deserves to be an all-star. That's Kevin Durant. And why would he say that? With the Detroit Pistons, they did defeat the Phoenix Suns 133-125 in Cade Cunningham. All right, 28 points, 13 assists, man. 9 of 19 from the floor. And this is what I like. The trend that's happening here with Cade Cunningham, he's starting to become a stocks just goon. What I mean by that is steals plus blocks. You start to look at the trend. He's starting to be one of those guys that's getting you 3 or 4 stocks a game. And realistically, we haven't had that consistently since, and this is weird, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond was the last guy to get your stocks at the tune of 3 and 4, 4.5 per game. So Cade Cunningham is doing his thing. Just want to say, make sure you guys go and vote for Cade Cunningham. His numbers this year are bananas. But shout out to you, chat family. As always, you guys are the most important part of the Wake Up Woodward family. Go ahead and smash that like button. And to this elite booth, what up, though, KG in the sound booth? That's Detroit's #1 draft pick, a.k.a. Black Hollywood.
Hey, the Lions ain't the only ones on gang shit today, man. You coming in here dressed like this. Flannel got the hood on, man. What we talking about, man? This is real Detroit shit going on right now. But, man, this Lions team just continues to impress me, man. Like, the way they performed yesterday, and I get it was against the Bears. All right, who cares, bro? This is exactly why I told y'all I had no fear of going to Philadelphia in January. If they got to go, you know they got to go. Now, they might not have to. More on that later. But, man, just the way this offense went out there and played, man, just however you want it, man. Jared Goff serving it up, man. Jameer Gibbs, great on the ground. Ben Johnson, lock him up, bro. He is a fucking criminal. Like that shit that he called yesterday, the J-Mo bomb and then the stumble bum or the stumble rooski, whatever you want to call it.
Stumble
like
six.
It was a masterclass yesterday, and the defense, they played great as well, man. Your secondary was in full effect. If he coming back, that was huge for the Lions, man. You had Terry and Arnold, Amik on the outside. They did the damn thing, man. Levi Onwuzurike, he did the damn thing from the tackle position. It was just so much that went right yesterday, and they put foot on neck, and they did what good teams do. And that's what this Lions team is at this point. No matter what iteration that they send out there, I just expect them to win.
Bro, that's why I was going to wear the Lions jersey. Y'all know I usually wear the Lions jersey on the game days, but I had to go with this one just because of how it looked. It's just so vicious, man. And the Detroit Lions went out there and they ate. That's what this represented. That's what I love about this back wall, too, man. That's the energy that they were on. Greg Alspa says, I like the look, Sam Flannel.
Oh, thank you.
I like that. Hoodie flannel is, that might be something you have to do a lot more. But, Woodward Sports MVP. I'm fired up, though. Woodward Sports MVP in the TD. It's a victory show, man. In the TD move on. What up, though, JB Smooth?
Jay Bizzle.
Yo, what's going on? I told you yesterday there was nothing to fear. It's the Bears, I know, but still, the Lions had that game in complete control. And I know we have a J-Mo segment coming up later on in the show, but Flannel, I think it's probably time right now. You should probably just add the J-Mo jersey to your cart as it is because the Week 16 hasn't officially ended until tonight's Monday Night Football. So that's when the yardage will be updated on the Lions website. So currently J-Mo's at 890, but as of tomorrow with the 143 yards, he will be at 1033.
890 is actually what he has now.
Yeah. Is it?
Yes, 890 is what he has now.
I wasn't 100% sure, but I think they haven't updated the numbers just yet.
Man, JB's really
he's trying
to game the system.
You know what? Maybe he just spoke it into existence. Maybe next week, 120 yards. Book it.
Hey, if it happens, I will make good on my word with pride. I will just say that.
And you know why I think it has a good opportunity to happen? It's because I've realized they like taking deep shots when they're outside. I realized that. I was like, you know what? I think J-Mo has a good opportunity to do exactly what he did. Go back to the championship game.
Hey.
It was just a little wrinkle. I was like, you know what? He might get that next week. Hey, you know what? Shout out to that dude, Justin Cavassier. Chase, what up, though, y'all?
Yo, we're doing
Victory
good over
Monday.
here. Victory Monday. Chase, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good, doing well. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good day.
Hey, bro, y'all sound like y'all was just over there taking the Victory Monday morning talk. Right before
Right. I swear, they on that couch slump, bro.
Hey, you know what? And I love the energy right now, dog, because the Detroit Lions, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, y'all are supposed to beat them. I heard Chicago Bears fans saying all that stuff. Mind you, they weren't saying that before the game, right? But I just don't remember a time where it's like, yo, we realistically have an opportunity to go out there and sweep our division. I'm not going to take any of these lightly. I don't care what their records are. I do not care. We just swept the Bears.
Yeah.
We just swept the FT freaking B, bro. And that's why I'm just like, hey, look at that, bro. My laptop all turned over. I'm really on one right now, man.
Laptop, you breaking here.
I am. And that's why
back to the streets.
I can't wait. No, because I believe the Lions showed us something yesterday, man. You said the best, KG, in my opinion. They went and they put their foot on their throat. And that's what this Detroit Lions team has consistently done no matter what's been thrown their way. They had that kind of hiccup against the Bills. But I don't know, man. I don't expect to see that again, man. I don't.
Well, it's just another challenge for the Lions because, like, obviously last year it was a different team, but a division-leading Lions went into Soldier Field and got beat for probably the worst loss of the season for the Lions, where their team, I would say, certainly looked the worst. You could maybe say the Ravens game, but you understand what I'm saying. But this year, they had another challenge. They had another narrative that they had to bust. Going into Soldier Field is not easy, no matter how the Bears are playing, no matter how much they've kind of mailed it in already. It's a tough environment. The Bears have a lot of talented players, and it didn't matter because the Lions just went in and got ahead 20-0 almost before you could sit down and didn't let up. And that's exactly what they needed to do.
Goodness gracious. Let's get into the rest of this show, man, and I can't wait because we got to talk about one Jameson Williams.
Now, why would we do that?
Because I think that, as JB Smooth said, I still believe you should just go ahead and add that jersey to the
Trying
cart.
to give him 1,000 yards before he got it, JB being slick.
Listen, he's so fast. He already has it.
Listen,
we just don't know yet.
We're
We're still catching up.
I said this months ago, and I got clowned at the time. Like, he should just get it anyway. But listen, Flannel, you knew your time was coming, bro. J-Mo might get it. They need to throw to him every possession. Fuck every game. Every possession, he needs to get a deep shot at this point. Like, the way J-Mo, like his speed, he outran a bracketed man coverage. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yep, dope. And you know what, really, Mr. Biggs, he says, I'm fired up. And I guess, he has his own nickname. He says, I'm Biggs Kool-Aid. All right, bro. Good morning to y'all, man. Chat family is on one right now. They fired up for Victory Monday. I heard some people say that if Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are Sonic and Tails, that, you know what, J-Mo, if Sonic and Knuckles, that J-Mo must be Tails because he flies. Just like we hear the legend Terry Foster say with Jameson Williams for a couple years now. He's been saying the Lions just got to let J-Mo fly. They definitely did that yesterday. He got one rush for 7 yards, but 5 carries for 143 yards for a total of 150 on the day, and a tutty. Jameson Williams getting that much closer to making sure you get that jersey, brother.
Yes, it's looking more and more likely that I am going to be getting a Jameson Williams jersey. And for the record, even if you guys don't want to believe me, I would happily go get one. It wouldn't be the best for my wallet necessarily, but that's all right. I will make up for that on the back end. But yeah, Jameson Williams, he had his career high in receiving yards in a game, 143. His career long reception, 82 yards, and now has 890 receiving yards on the season, which means he only has to average 55 a game in the last 2 in order for him to get 1,000 and for me to get my jersey and for him to squash any chatter anymore that he's a bust, which is pretty much already gone already. But when you're a top 15 pick, an 1,000-yard season is a nice feather in your cap, and I think he will end up getting it. And the thing about J-Mo is that we all appreciate that we saw it towards the end of last year, and we've seen it this year. He's not just a guy who runs go routes. He runs the entire route tree. He's a complete receiver. He catches the short, the intermediate, all that good stuff. But where he really is at his best, where he really is that unique weapon in the NFL, is his ability to just outrun DBs and make big plays for touchdowns. And that 82-yard touchdown reception, that was really a backbreaker. That was really what blew the game open. That's what gave him that 20-0 lead. And it was just impressive to just see him streaking down the field, him catching up to that ball that for a lot of other receivers would have been an overthrow, but for Jameson Williams, it was right in stride, and he went right into the end zone. It was beautiful to watch, and if Jameson Williams can continue to play like this and continue to make these big explosive plays, this offense is unstoppable.
Yeah, and you know what I love is that before, when I would see him make these plays, sometimes it looked like the defense just forgot about him. And outside of that, I didn't know how much respect was or wasn't being given to him. But in some of those plays yesterday, even in the ones that he didn't catch the ball, I still saw him having a big effect, showing that there is an increased respect for Jameson Williams out there on the football field and as a legitimate threat for the Detroit Lions. He is a legitimate weapon. If you don't have him on your scouting report when the Lions come into town, then he is going to roundhouse kick you in the face. Just period. I would assume that the Bears did scheme for him because you saw some of the attention that he garnered, especially on that Sam Laporta play. On the what are they calling it, KG? The stumble what?
The Jared Goff called it the stumble bum, and then Spindy called it the stumble rooski on the watch party. Whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it, man. The stumble six, man. On that play, you see J-Mo kind of just streak to the right side of your screen from left to right. And the linebackers are kind of just stunted. And then you notice that the secondary goes with Jameson Williams, and it clears out the entire back left of that end zone for Sam Laporta touchdown. And it was beautiful stuff to see him be able to get that type of respect in the same game in which he absolutely blew the cover off the defense. It wasn't like they weren't paying attention. He just ran by the DB, and then he ran by the safety.
Oh, you love to see it. And by that point, by that Sam Laporta touchdown, which in the play in which Jameson Williams had a big part in it, as Kool-Aid you so eloquently mentioned yourself, Jameson Williams had already made that 82-yard touchdown catch. So the defense at that point, the Bears' defense was scared shitless, as they should have been. As they should have been. I mean, considering how poorly they played and that Jameson Williams had already blew the top off of that coverage, that secondary that personnel-wise actually has some talented players, but they sure as heck didn't play like it on Sunday. Or maybe the Lions' offense is just that good. Who knows? I think it's a little bit of both. But when it comes to Jameson Williams and when it comes to a certain other player we are going to mention in the next segment, you can probably guess who he is. Stick certainly knows. I want to look a little bit big picture.
He just showed up in the chat.
Did he?
He literally did.
Did he?
He literally did.
For more reasons than one. I see that, Stick, and you're not necessarily wrong in that assessment, but it's Victory Monday. It's all well and good. Jameson Williams is Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson is Jameson Williams. The more I see J-Mo continue to make these big, explosive touchdown catches, that's what we used to see from Deshaun Jackson for many, many years. And I believe that's the type of player that J-Mo will be for the Lions moving forward. And calling him Deshaun Jackson is actually one of the best compliments I can give, because Deshaun Jackson had 5 1,000-yard seasons. Deshaun Jackson would constantly take the top off of defenses. And that's what J-Mo has done this year. Jameson Williams this season has 5 receptions of 50-plus yards. 5! And is averaging 17.6 yards per catch. The dude is he's just as explosive as they come in the NFL.
Is he is he one of the game's best just big play players, period?
Yes,
absolutely.
100%.
That's, oh my gosh, that's so crazy to say, thinking about where we all had potential during the offseason. We were all like, we want to see him get there, and to the point that he actualized it. Through even a little bit of turbulence and noise through the season, that to me shows that he did actually lock in. Nobody's going to be perfect, but he's showing, just like this Lions team has shown, they can get through adversity. They clean up after mistakes quite well. And Jameson Williams all season has just been a person that's kind of ridden above the noise. That to me is why he's having this type of success, man.
You want to know why? Because he's a team player. Because the teammates, they absolutely love this guy. Like, he's never been somebody that's been uncoachable, and that's why, when people was getting personal with J-Mo, I'm like, let's not do that, man, because he's never really exuded signs of being a malcontent in the locker room. By all intents and purposes, they love him in there. And then, he does things from time to time, but just like yesterday, Dan Campbell had to pull him over to the sideline, coach him up, because after Tariq Stevenson, which I never want to hear his name again, you got cooked yesterday, bro. You got fucking cooked yesterday. But I'm just saying, but like, you know, he's always been open and susceptible to coaching, man. And he went out there, he gave you an 82-yard play bomb, the longest touchdown reception since Calvin Johnson in 2013. Think about that, man. So shout out to J-Mo, man. He's always been this player, and now you're just seeing it actualized on the field. Him and Goff's chemistry, it has taken another level.
Absolutely. And you know what, man? What would it be if we had a whole segment where we're talking about how well J-Mo did 150 yards and a total yards and a tutty if we didn't go to his godfather? Hey, Woodward Sports MVP, talk to me about your godson J-Mo, man.
I'm over here sitting like a proud father, man. My godson out there just making plays. I can't believe this 82-yard bomb. It looked like for a second, Jared Goff was like, oh, snap, J-Mo is flying out here. I got to unleash this. So I was surprised that Jared Goff got it to him that deep, but I was like, hey, you know what? More power to him.
He did it last week. It got flagged.
It got flagged
he missed
for
it.
But hey, he got it to him this week, and J-Mo was right there for it. As KG said before, like this man will accept coaching whenever it's needed, and that's the whole thing. When Dan Campbell pulled him to the side for a second to just coach him up just a little bit more, give him that boost of confidence. Just a little bit, just to say, hey, you know what? Relax, you got it. Your time is going to come out there on the field. And you know what? All you had to do was wait and relax, and that's all it took.
Yep. Well said, JB. And Jamison Williams played a heck of a game. And I have to give credit to somebody else in the room, because when we were all talking about offensive MVPs for this game, who we thought that they were going to be, I think it was pretty much universally Jahmyr Gibbs. And Jahmyr Gibbs played a really good game. And we're going to get to him later. Oh, yeah. But the only person who said J-Mo was actually our boy Chase. So take your victory lap, my dude.
Cavassier. He over there working hard, too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm happy he performed well. Happier that the Lions got the win. You know, like JB said, the week's not officially over yet. So after midnight, after Monday Night Football, we're on to San Francisco. So that's the focus right now.
More yards.
Coach speak, Chase. I like that.
Right.
Hey, but that's all right. That's what how they're feeling in the locker room. And you mentioned KG coaching, and obviously after J-Mo got that penalty, you saw Dan Campbell give J-Mo a little bit of a pep talk. But who you also saw, there was nobody happier on the entirety of planet Earth that J-Mo got that 82-yard touchdown than Antoine Randall. My goodness. And